My name is Heloisa and I hope you like this presentation. So, I started my studies at Fisk in 2017 and now I shut down this process, so happy looking my evolution here. So, glancing this illustration, you can have an idea to what I'm going to talking about. When I say inventions that change the world, what goes through your mind? For me, the most useful invention that the humans done was the wheel, and I picked out it as my theme because I think this mechanism stands for our revolution. This old invention has been changed the world in incredible ways. But you know how did the wheel was invented? Who invented? Where it was invented? How the first humans discovered an object whom changed the paths of history. So, the wheel is everything related to make our life easier. Historians thought the earliest wheel came from Mesopotamia, nowadays Iraq. Mesopotamia, a large area between Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was the cradle of humanity, where the first human civilization was born, the Sumerians. The climatic condition of this local made possible that people improve techniques of agriculture, irrigation, and architecture. The soil fertility was guaranteed because of flooding of the rivers. The word Mesopotamia originated from Greek language, and it means earth between rivers, in a direct mention of the river's importance for that region and people. The Sumerians were responsible for anything that we use nowadays, like the writing that was first used to do the accounting of the policies. They were energetic farmers, traders, and sailors. Their religion recognized many gods, whose feats and glory were described in stories that were often preserved for generations. Rituals as well as parties were enlivened by skillful harpists, and Sumerian musical instruments have even been excavated by modern archaeologists. Finally, but not least, Sumerians invented the wheel, the purpose of the presentation. This new object arose after the Neolithic Revolution, when these people that before were nomadic, now they started to fix residences, the first models of cities. Looking for this picture, we can compare how basic and primitive this society was and how we evolved with over the years. Furthermore, with the division of labor between the villagers, there arose the need to create an engine to help them. But it was only happened in 3500 BC. The idea came up after the man noted how the tree trunks rolled to the floor. The combination of the wheel and axle made possible early forms of transportation, which became more sophisticated over time with the development of other technologies. As shown as the illustration above, early Homo sapiens realized that round objects could be easily moved by rolling them. Their descendants advanced this rolling technique into the transportation of large objects on cylindrical logs. The invention of the wheel and axle allowed a rolling log to be placed through a hole in a wheel to create a cart. In contrast to the most people think, the first wheels were not used for transportation. First of all, the major uses of it was in pottery wheels, allow for the pottery to rotate while the potter shaped it, and it's an important landmark for the handcraft. Some might think it's strange to call a wheel a machine. In scientific terms, a machine is simply something that makes a force bigger. In other words, when you apply a force to a machine, it increases the size of the force and applies that greater force somewhere else. One example of it was a chariot. Only 300 years after the potteries, the wheels could be used as instruments of wars, the chariots. In battle, the chariots offered a fast, maneuverable mobile platform for archers. Chariot racing was influential in the evolution of the spoked wheels, as they allowed chariots to be much faster. The invention of the airfield rubber tires chariots to be much faster, sturdier, and stronger, ultimately redefining transportation. In its primitive form, a wheel is a circular block of a hard and durable material at whose center has been bored a hole through which is placed an axle bearing about the wheel rotate when torque is applied to the wheel about its axle. Nowadays, we have a lot of types of the wheels, and we have a knowledge about how was the process of creation this engine. But how did the evolution happen? Let's follow this process from this video. So, the past of the wheels is interesting for us to understand the process of world globalization. So, when the humans discovered that a wheel powered by people, animals, wind, or following water could be put to many other uses, it had a fundamental impact on transport, and later on agriculture and industry, and in the world in which we live today. So, I have a question for you. Can you imagine our lives without wheels? I'm sure not, because everything is easier and possible after this invention. It's impossible to conceive of a world without it. The four principal means of energy that the people use for our existence are grounded in the wheel, like the electric power, wind, animals, and water. We can say that this useful invention was the beginning of technology and a globalized world. So, which relevance do wheels have for us?
The wheel is one of the oldest inventions of humanity, and for sure one of the most important. Contemporarily, we couldn't imagine a world without it, since it is crucial for many things. But not only for vehicles like cars or bicycles, but also, for example, for the function of a watch or a merry-go-round.
The biggest thing it has done for us is giving us much easier and fast transportation. Imagine if don't exist cars, airplanes, bikes, or motorcycles. How crazy and slow would be this world? The means of transportation had a direct impact in how the people get around, how the products that we buy or sell move for the country even get our homes, and how this simple invention has been used by everyone for centuries. I like so much to give an example to what I'm talking about. So today we can take a plane flight and get to Japan in 3 days. I don't know. And it's incredible and crazy because it just can't be possible because of the wheels. It's impossible to talk about transportation and not say any more about cars. In my opinion, the cars are the most used vehicle around the world. With over the years, the cars were gaining power according to the people want. Big, small, tall, and low. Any possibilities for what you want. But there are some problems in the large uses of the cars, like the air pollution, noise pollution, and traffic. One important tool that we have in a pandemic time is a delivery, either food or clothes. This practical means just can't be possible because of the wheels that have been helping us every day. Come back to the example of the Japan. Today we can buy anything through internet and your products arrive in a week. It's a globalized world. We have a knowledge about the relevance of the wheels for transportation, but that's not all. The circular form be present in all parts of the day, like in watches, mind mills, hydropower plants, and even in amusement parks with a brilliant merry-go-round. A wheel is a greatest invention in any areas. One of them is in agriculture. To get to our table, the food passes by a process of cultivation and depends uniquely for the mechanisms to rotation to produce enough food for world population. In all, that part of economy nowadays depends totally on the mechanization of the wheels, like in the arrival of agricultural input to planting, harvesting, and distribution, to ensure enough food for everyone. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, the things have been adapting with over the years. Before the wheels appeared, the only means of transportation that existed was the animals, and they walked for days in the middle of the forest. Consequently, with the increased use of the wheels to transport wares and people, came the need to create the roads, connecting cities and states, opening any possibilities to expanding horizons for tourism, trips, and leisure. In all, the invention that I chose to talking about have a relation with transformation, as well as adaptation of the things according to the humanity needs. I read a documentary in which the author said the consumer progress in a country is measured by the facility in which these people and your products can get around. So, how many wheels this country makes it spin and how faster? The wheel is a fundamental invention. Without it, the world would be no modern, no globalized, no driving by international air travel, and God, no internet providing instantaneous connectivity. So, I stand up for the idea that a wheel was a product of humanity, so humanity is a product of the wheels. Foi.